Hello, my friends. So, you knew this was coming eventually, right? I did a video talking about all of the evolutions, and I did one all about rabbit Pokemon for the Year of the Rabbit. So now it's like, have you seen my logo? Mushrooms! Everyone loves mushrooms, right? Except here's the funny thing. I do not. Yeah, I said it. I don't eat them, and while some of them can look pretty cool, some of them can look absolutely disgusting. Now, one thing you might not know about me, I am not into disgusting stuff. I despise most toilet humor, and certain things just make me feel weird or uncomfortable. I connected with Mario in the Mario movie with his distaste for mushrooms. But you know what? It's time I buckle up and delve into a video all about our fungi friends, because there are some pretty interesting looking mushroom boys. We're in the middle of spring at the time of me writing this. Summer is on the way, and it just felt like the right time for spores. It's time to take a look at every Pokemon based on mushrooms. And just like with my other informative style videos, I gather the majority of my information from Bulbapedia. I don't pretend to be an expert on this stuff, I'm just relaying it in a nice, compact package with my own superior video editing. Style. I'm so funny. So in doing my research to track down every mushroom Pokemon, I noticed the appearance of both Gloom and Vileplume on some lists. I did not think they were mushrooms at all, so I explored further. I knew they were based on the Rafflesia, a parasitic flowering plant that can also be known as the corpse flower. So, to my knowledge, it doesn't seem like Gloom or Vileplume should count here at all. A parasitic plant does not equal a mushroom. Leave that for the parasite pros. The only other ones I want to briefly mention that don't quite count but are still somewhat mushroom-shaped are Ralts, Algium, and Beheeyem. None of these are directly based on any mushrooms, but they still remind me of them, especially Beheeyem. I was actually surprised it wasn't based on a mushroom in any way. But nope, just aliens. Therefore, that leaves us with 11 total Shroom Boys. I tried to be as thorough as possible, but you never know if there's one that was an oversight. Let's delve. And oh, we're starting off big. Number 46 is Paras, the bug grass type mushroom Pokemon first seen in Generation 1. It's a small, reddish-orange crab-like bug meant to resemble the nymph stage of the cicada. It has large round eyes with 2 big claws and is of course known for the 2 Tochukatsu mushrooms that grow on its back that are parasitic. Paras is pretty small at 1 foot tall and just under 12 pounds. It is based on the cicada nymph as well as certain species of ants that can be infected by mushroom spores that take over their brains, as well as the Massospora, a type of fungus that can specifically infect cicadas. The name Paras is simply the first 5 letters of the word parasite. Pokédex entries state that the mushrooms on its back command Paras to absorb nutrients from tree roots, and that the mushrooms can be used medicinally. Paras' best stat is its attack, with speed being its worst. Its anime debut was actually in the episode Clefairy and the Moonstone, just appearing in the background in Mount Moon, but it was the focus of the episode The Problem with Paras, where a girl named Cassandra wanted her Paras to evolve so she could study Parasect's mushroom, but it was too weak. So yeah, I've always liked Paras enough. I like that it has these large, endearing eyes, like it doesn't want to hurt anyone. Legends Arceus players will disagree with that though, as it has since developed some notoriety for straight-up charge-rushing players. But I remember my first time going through Mount Moon in Shane's blue version, just trying to survive the waves of Geodude and Zubat, with Shane telling me that there's a very rare Clefairy that can appear. But then, once in a while, there's an appearance of a Paras. Not as rare as Clefairy, and not nearly as common as Zubat and Geodude. It's sort of this weird underdog bug thing with mushrooms on it. I can't remember if I caught one to try and use for my first time playing or not, but if I did, I can guarantee it didn't last long. Using a low-level Paras in Gen 1 is rough to say the least. Not including TMs, the only attacking moves it learns are Scratch, Leech Life, and Slash, and it will most likely have evolved by the time it would learn Slash. So yeah, Paras isn't turning any heads right away, but it does stand as this intriguing little crab bug. Oh boy, and just like that, we are already at the peak mushroom Pokemon. I can understand if you want to end the video right after this one, but you certainly don't have to. At level 24, Paras evolves into number 47, Parasect, the bug grass mushroom Pokemon first seen in Generation 1. It is a reddish-orange, larger crab-like bug in which the mushroom on Paras' back has completely taken over its body into one large red Tochukatsu mushroom with yellow spots. It has 2 big claws in front with completely white, pupilless, glazed-over eyes. Parasect is a little over 3 feet tall and 65 pounds. Like Paras, it is based on a cicada nymph, the ants taken over by spores, and the massive spore of fungus. Parasect also somewhat resembles a hermit crab with a mushroom for a shell. The name Parasect is a combination of parasite and insect. Pokédex entries state that,
well, your eyes are permanently glazed over since you are a host-parasite pair in which the parasite mushroom has taken over the host bug, prefers damp places.
And that the spores can be poisonous. Its best stat is its attack, with speed being its worst. Its anime debut was in the episode The Problem with Paras, in which Cassandra's Paras did indeed evolve into Parasect after taking down Team Rocket. Parasect was made famous by super popular YouTuber Paraspectre, who started in 2020. So really, what more do I need to say here? I went with Parasect for my own channel's logo, so of course I'm a fan. It's just such a strange looking thing with a very creepy origin, all while actually looking kinda cute. Parasect is my aesthetic. It truly wouldn't be the same if it didn't have those solid white eyes though. It completes the whole zombie look that it has. Parasect is a completely tragic Pokemon as it no longer has control over its body or thoughts. The mushroom is the Pokemon, and the bug that it once was is just a means for getting from one place to another and surviving. Pretty Shakespearean if I do say so myself. Or whatever, I don't know. I just love everything about Parasect, even down to it not even being strong statistically. Yet with its 100% accuracy spore move causing sleep, it can still dominate battles. It's just incredibly slow. Parasect is not for everybody, but if you're watching this or any of my videos, I just hope that I have been able to bring some awareness and appreciation to this forgotten, strange Gen 1 bug. Paras and Parasect are due for a regional form. I'll be waiting, bug ghost type Parasect. Gen 2 though did not bring us any new mushroom friends, so it wasn't until Gen 3 when there were some new ones added. Gen 3 is sorta like a soft reboot of the series, as there were a lot of correlations to previous Pokemon. And well, the Shroomish line really did act as the new version of the Paras line. Number 285 is Shroomish, the pure grass-type mushroom Pokemon. It is a beige mushroom-shaped Pokemon with a simple angry face and has green spots throughout with 2 stubby legs. Shroomish is a little over 1 foot tall and just under 10 pounds. It is based on the puffball or Earth Star mushroom, as well as possibly a dinosaur egg. The name Shroomish is just the shroom part of mushroom with the suffix of ish, meaning almost like. Pokédex entries state that it hangs out in damp forests and produces toxic spores from its head. Its best stats are a 3-way tie with HP, defense, and special defense, with speed being its worst. Its anime debut was in the episode Johto Photo Finish as just background characters, with its main debut in Taming of the Shroomish, where a group of them were saved by Ash and company from a mansion being destroyed. So yeah, I think Shroomish is pretty cool. Even as just being the Gen 3 version of a Paras, it's still very different from it. It's pure grass instead of bug grass and has a completely different look and color scheme, and is actually in the early game forest instead of a cave. I like its simple 2-eye, one-line angry mouth and unibrow for it though. It's basically what you'd type out as a mad face in a text or something. But because of that, there really isn't a whole lot to it. It's a very simple design, but I think it works well enough. And Gen 3 also introduced abilities, so a Shroomish with Effect Spore is super annoying. On contact, the opposing Pokemon can become poisoned, paralyzed, or asleep 10% of the time, just for hitting Shroomish. Because of this, it makes Shroomish worth getting in the early game. I chalk this one up to being somewhere between average to above average for me. But at level 23, Shroomish evolves into number 286, Breloom, the grass-fighting type mushroom Pokemon. Yeah, they've all been labeled mushroom Pokemon so far. It's a green bipedal Pokemon with a beige head and tail, red claws, and has a mushroom cap head. It's just under 4 feet tall and about 86 pounds. The design on its head is similar to an agaric mushroom combined with a Japanese casa and berries on a yew tree. It's also kangaroo-like in appearance, hence the fighting type, as well as a dinosaur, like the Pachycephalosaurus and Ankylosaurus, to advance Shroomish's dinosaur egg appearance. The name Breloom is a combination of umbrella and mushroom, also similar to the words Brawl and Bloom. Pokédex entries state that its fighting ability is similar to pro boxers and that the seeds on its tail are toxic. Its best stat is easily its attack, with its worst being a 3-way tie of HP, special attack, and special defense. Its anime debut was actually in Jirachi the Wishmaker, the 6th Pokemon movie, but just as background characters. Its main debut was in a Shroomish Skirmish, where a bunch of Shroomish evolved into Brawl Bloom after Team Rocket stole their food. I've actually become a pretty big fan of Brawl Bloom. The fighting type in general has really grown on me over the years, and I've used a Brawl Bloom on a couple fighting monotype teams. I don't know how they came up with a small, angry, text-faced mushroom evolving into a kangaroo dinosaur boxing mushroom thing, but somehow it works. It's just a cool design, and I love that it matches the skills of a pro boxer, even with those stubby little arms. Apollo Creed ain't got nothing on a 4-foot-tall mushroom kangaroo. I've certainly mentioned this before, but Gen 3 was during the era when I was no longer into Pokemon, so I didn't even know what a Brawl Bloom was until somewhere between Gen 4 or 5 when I got back into it. I didn't really have any opinion of it then, but yes, I've since come around on it. It's not a top 3 Gen 3 favorite for me, but I really do like it. So Gen 4 came and went with no new Shroomies. The even-numbered generations are not pro mushroom. But with Black and White coming out, we did get a couple new friends. Number 590 is Foongus, the grass poison type mushroom Pokemon. Yeah, the first poison type mushroom came in Gen 5, kinda crazy. Foongus is just a small white mushroom with the cap looking like a Pokeball. It's a very simple design. It's 8 inches high and just over 2 pounds, so it's pretty tiny for a Pokemon. Its design is based on the Amanita muscaria mushroom, as well as being a classic mimic in RPGs, a monster that disguises itself as an item, much like Voltorb and Electrode. The name Foongus is a combination of fool and fungus. Pokédex entries state that it lures people in trying to appear as a Pokeball and then releases poison spores. Its best stat is its HP, with its worst being speed. Foongus's anime debut was in the episode Facing Fear with Eyes Wide Open, when multiple Foongus poisoned Ash and company after one was headbutted by a Scraggy. So yeah, I also really like Foongus. It's similar to Shroomish for me in that it's a very simple mushroom design that ends up working for me. But yeah, the obvious point here is that it may be a bit too similar to Voltorb. Voltorb looks just like a Pokeball, where it can trick you into grabbing it and then you get electrocuted. Foongus looks just like a Pokeball from above, where it can trick you into grabbing it and then you get poisoned. But I don't know, it doesn't bother me that it's just a copy of that idea. I think it's a cool idea to have a mushroom cap look just like a Pokeball, since a lot of mushrooms are red and white. The entire Mario series is all about the red and white mushrooms. So while Foongus may not be the most unique in design, it still makes sense to exist. And yeah, it's pretty crazy that this is the first poison-type mushroom, as so many mushrooms in real life are poisonous. Very simple in concept, but I like it. And of course, Foongus also evolves once, just like all of the other ones. At level 39, Foongus becomes number 591, Amoonguss, the grass poison-type mushroom Pokemon. Amoonguss is an even bigger version of Foongus, but now also has arms that resemble Pokeballs, as well as resembling shields. It's 2 feet tall and about 23 pounds. Its design is based on the same idea as Foongus, the Amanita muscaria mushroom combined with a mimic. The name Amoonguss is a combination of the words Amanita, fungus, and humongous, as well as completing the phrase fungus among us in relation to Foongus. Pokédex entries state that it dances and sways to try and lure in Pokemon, but it usually fails at this. Its best stat is easily its HP, with its worst easily being speed. Amoonguss's anime debut was in the episode The 4 Seasons of Sawsbuck, where a couple of them tried to attack Pikachu and then a Deerling later on. Yeah, not a whole lot different from Foongus, but I like Amoonguss enough. It's basically just a bigger version, but with Pokeball shield arms, so it kinda reminds me of a pawn in chess or something. I really don't have a whole lot to say about it, to be honest, which makes it even more like the Voltorb and Electrode line. In my opinion, Electrode is much lazier though, with it just being flipped and given a different face. At least Amoonguss gets some Pokeball arms, so that's something. I do kinda like that the Pokédex says Pokemon rarely fall for its mimicry, so it's almost like it regresses when it evolves from Foongus. But yeah, I actually like or love every mushroom Pokemon so far, and Amoonguss falls right into the like category. And in keeping with the odd and even tradition, Gen 6 was devoid of Shroom Boys. Onto Gen 7. Number 755 is Moralol, the grass fairy type illuminating Pokemon. It is a tiny white Pokemon with 2 simple black eyes and 3 mushrooms on its head of different shades of light purple or pink. It is 8 inches tall and a little over 3 pounds. Its design is based on the bioluminescent mushrooms like the Mycena or Foxfire, as well as a nightlight. The name Moralol is a combination of Morel, a type of mushroom, and lull. Pokédex entries state that its mushrooms can glow and the spores can put those who go near it to sleep. Its best stat is its special defense, with its worst being speed, a typical trend with these mushroom Pokemon. Morlul's anime debut was in the episode Lulled to La La Land, where one was draining energy from Ash and company to help sustain a tree. So I gotta be honest, of all of the mushroom ones I've talked about so far, I do think Morlul is my least favorite. I do like the idea of a glowing mushroom and that it focuses more on sleep than poisoning like the others, but it's just not a design that I love. It reminds me a lot of Bellsprout with its little root legs, but it has 3 mushrooms instead of a pitcher plant head. At least Grass Fairy is a pretty unique typing, as there aren't too many of those, but other than that, I think it's fine. Not really a whole lot more to say about it. It has 2 eyes, 3 mushrooms, it glows, and can put you to sleep. That's basically it. And at level 24, Morlul evolves into number 756, Shiitake, the Grass Fairy type illuminating Pokemon. It's a slim white mushroom with root arms and has a giant pale purple and green cap that looks too big for its body. It's a little over 3 feet tall and about 25 pounds. Its design is also based on bioluminescent mushrooms like the Mycena or Foxfire, just like with Morlul, and it also somewhat resembles a lamp as an evolution of Morlul's nightlight design. The name Shiitake is a combination of the words Shiitake, a type of mushroom, shine, and hypnotic. Pokédex entries state that Shiitake can cause drowsiness and can cause people to get lost in the forest. They can also have territorial battles with Parasect, so of course I hate it. Its best stat is its special defense, with its worst being, of course, speed. Its anime debut was also in the episode Lulled to La La Land, where the Morlul that attacked Ash evolved to Shiitake. So I remember at one point reading that Shiitake gets into territory fights with Parasect, and I was like, oh boy, I am not supposed to like this thing. But with that aside, I actually don't love this thing. I think I like it a little more than Morlul, just because it's a more defined mushroom with a concept and then a little thing with 3 mushrooms, but I don't know. It's just so disproportionate. I get that that's the point and that some mushrooms have a much bigger cap than the rest of it, but I still don't love it. The cap design itself looks cool. I like the green spots with the different shades of purple, which is very fitting for its fairy typing, but other than that, meh, it's okay. They really ran with the simple colon in parentheses face here, just like with Shroomish's angry face. So Gen 8 is an even-numbered gen. Did we get a mushroom Pokemon here? Nope, on to Gen 9. Number 948 is Toadstool, the ground grass-type woodier Pokemon. It's an orangish pink Pokemon with 3 yellow dots and 2 long white legs that resemble tentacles. It's under 3 feet tall and about 72 pounds. Its design is based on wood ear mushrooms, which are also known as tree jellyfish, hence how similar it looks to Tentacool. The name Toadstool is a combination of Toadstool, Toad, and Tentacool. Pokédex entries state that it can run up to 30 miles an hour and actually has no relation to Tentacool, which I don't buy. Its best stat is easily its special defense, with its worst being defense. Yeah, there's actually a fast mushroom Pokemon. Its anime debut, I believe, has yet to happen. I actually love this idea. When I first played my Scarlet version, I tried to go in spoiler-free as possible, including seeing new Pokemon. When I saw this Tentacool-looking thing running on land, I knew I had to get it. The fact that there actually exists a tree jellyfish is almost too perfect to turn Tentacool into a mushroom Pokemon. Yeah, I don't care if it's a completely separate species. To me, it's a regional variant. It looks just like Tentacool. And how great to have it be a ground type first, grass type second. Every single mushroom Pokemon is at least part grass type, and that absolutely makes sense, but it's all about what secondary types they can give them. So yeah, I love this whole idea to have Toadstool be a ground type. I'm a fan. And as always, Toadstool evolves once, this time with its Tentacruel style evolution. At level 30, it evolves into number 949, Toadstool, the ground grass type woodier Pokemon. It's a black mushroom with 3 pink protrusions, a tube-like mouth, and many long yellow tentacle-like legs. It is over 6 feet tall and about 127 pounds. It is also based on the woodier mushroom, as well as the Hydnellum pecki, which explains the red orbs. And of course, it looks a lot like a Tentacruel. The name Toadstool is a combination of Toadstool, Toad, and Tentacruel. Pokédex entries state that it can wrap up prey with its tentacles to suck up nutrients, and that its cap can be a delicacy. Its best stat is special defense, with its worst being defense. And as of me writing this, it has not appeared in any of the anime yet, to my knowledge. Yet Toadstool is amazing. I talked about it in my favorite regional variants video, and I stand by it here. Black is my favorite color, and I love that we get a black Tentacruel looking mushroom Pokemon with the contrasted pinks and yellows. It looks great. I mentioned that when I first saw Toadstool, I had to get one, but I never actually used one on my team. It wasn't until later in the game when I fought one that a trainer had, and I really felt like I missed out on that one. Toadstool is even better than Toadstool, and is one of my favorite regional variant designs. But yes, I know that it isn't technically a regional variant, it counts for me. It's such a cool idea to turn Tentacool and Tentacruel into ground mushrooms, and I'm all in. It's also kind of interesting that those two are water poison types, and that ground is super effective against poison. Poison is good against grass, grass is good against water, and water is good against ground. Even more overlap going on with these. And finally, we've reached the final mushroom Pokemon, at least at the time of me writing this. Also from Gen 9, number 986 is Brute Bonnet, the grass dark-type Paradox Pokemon. Brute Bonnet is an ancient relative of Amoonguss, appearing in Area 0 in Paldea. Its cap and arms still resemble Pokeballs, but now it has spikes and green moss growing off the sides, and has sharp teeth. It is just under 4 feet tall and about 46 pounds. It is based on the design of Amoonguss, as well as Syzygites megalocarpus, a parasitic mold that infects mushrooms. The name Brute Bonnet is a reference to its mushroom cap looking like a bonnet, as well as the common bonnet mushroom. Pokédex entries state that it could be a cross between a dinosaur and a mushroom. Its best stat is its attack, with its worst being speed. And yes, no anime appearances as of yet, to my knowledge. So I also love Brute Bonnet. The Paradox Pokemon are all really cool ideas in general, and is a nice twist from the regional variant idea. These aren't just regional variants, they are ancient Pokemon from a completely different time period. Amoonguss used to look this way and has since evolved into its current design over time. That's a fun idea, and it made me appreciate Amoonguss more. I love the spikes on the mushroom cap and the seafoam green color of the moss. It just looks more intimidating, especially with its added on dark typing. The Pokédex said that Pokemon don't tend to fall for Amoonguss's mimicry, but Brute Bonnet is going to straight up hurt you. Look at that face. It's possibly my favorite Paradox Pokemon, right up there with Great Tusk. Big fan of this idea. And there we have it, all of the mushroom Pokemon in existence. And now I think it could be fun to do a little comparing and contrasting here. Aside from Brute Bonnet, there are simply 5 pairs of mushrooms, 5 Pokemon that all evolve once. No solos, no 3-parters, just simple 2-stage ones. Again, except for Brute Bonnet, but that's just a different version of Amoonguss anyway. So just who is the best and the worst of these? I mentioned each one's best and worst stats, but let's try and figure out the strongest. There are of course different factors to consider, so this isn't a definitive list or anything, but for simplicity's sake, let's just compare the base stat totals for the stage 1s. The weakest is actually a tie between Paras and Morlul at 285, Foongus is in third with 294, Shroomish is second with 295, and Toadstool has by far the highest total at 335. The evolved forms actually don't follow the same order. In last is a tie between Parasect and Shiitake at 405, which makes sense since they are enemies. In third is Brawl Bloom with 460, second is Amoonguss at 464, and way in first is Toadstool at 515. And then Brute Bonnet has them all beat with a whopping 570. Yeah, Brute Bonnet is actually pretty good. Size-wise, the shortest mushroom is a tie between Foongus and Morlul at only 8 inches. The tallest is Toadstool at 6'3", the lightest is Foongus at 2.2 pounds, and the heaviest is also Toadstool at 127.9 pounds. But, per tradition, it's about time we rank all of them based on my personal favorites. I'm sure it'll be a huge surprise who my number 1 is. Number 11, Morlul. There's just not a whole lot to it for me. It's like a light purple Bellsprout with 3 mushrooms. I certainly don't hate it, but it's very middling for me. Number 10, Shiitake. Just slightly better than Morlul, it doesn't really do it for me. It just looks like it's going to tip over at any moment from how big the mushroom cap is, and that's sad. Number 9, Amoonguss. Yeah, I think Amoonguss is just okay. It's the electrode of the pairing, and just like with that line, I prefer Voltorb. Number 8, Foongus. I do just slightly prefer Foongus to Amoonguss. I would have been okay if it never evolved and they stuck with the one mushroom Pokeball mimic. It works for what it is, even if it's just a copy of Voltorb. Number 7, Shroomish. I do like Shroomish with its overly simple angry face look, but there isn't a whole lot more to it. I really don't know why I like it more than Foongus, but I do. Number 6, Paras. The one that started it all. You find these way early on in Red and Blue, but good luck having the patience there to use one with how weak it starts out. Paras is a nice reminder of what Parasect used to be before the incident. Number 5, Toadstool. Yeah, this is a really cool idea. I will never forget seeing one scamper on by in my first playthrough of Scarlet and just laughing to myself. Was that a Tentacool? What just happened? Number 4, Brute Bonnet. As I said, Brute Bonnet did make me appreciate Amoonguss more, but Brute Bonnet takes the cake for me. It's cooler looking, scarier, more colorful, and has the dark typing. And is one of the best Paradox ones in my opinion. A solid take on Amoonguss. Number 3, Breloom. I love this weird fighting type boxing kangaroo mushroom thing. Such a weird combination of ideas to run with, but it just works. But I really think I had to use one on my team to really appreciate it. Weird idea, great design, great typing, yeah, I'm a fan. Number 2, Toadstool. The black, pink, and yellow Tentacool. I love the design of this and just the idea to turn a jellyfish into a land mushroom. One of the best variants to come out of Scarlet and Violet, even if it isn't technically a variant. It is to me, and I love it. Number 1, yeah, I don't even need to say it. The most obvious number 1 of any list I've ever done. Parasect is my logo, and I don't need to go over again how much I love this Pokemon. You've heard my reasonings here and in other videos. It's the best mushroom Pokemon ever, and I'm just biding my time until I see what clever idea they come up with for a regional variant if it ever happens. Shroom Boy for life. So there we have it. I'd like to hear your ranking of these 11 as well. Do you think we should get more mushroom Pokemon? Are there already enough? Should there be regional variants of Paras and Parasect? Did I blatantly miss a mushroom Pokemon? I'm curious to hear some thoughts because I overall really like the selection that we have. And per usual, do check out my Patreon at patreon.com/Paraspectre if you feel the need to go above and beyond to support the channel and to see what the next virtual assigned cards are if you choose to sign up. Everyone who does gets assigned a specific card in number order to organize thank yous at the end of these videos. Anything is super appreciated, even just giving your time and laying spores all over that subscribe button. Nope, that was gross, dial it back. Thank you again. Stay tuned for more Pokemon related content such as card videos, challenges, or anything else I feel like doing. Maybe even more of these themed videos if you like them enough. Paraspectre will return.